What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all another playoff reaction. We're gonna talk about the Los Angeles Clippers taking down the Phoenix Suns, who have been on a win streak since finishing the Lakers. They swept the Nuggets and got off to an early 2-0 lead against the Clippers, and it was a win or die game for the Clippers, and they responded. Even though the Phoenix Suns ended up getting Chris Paul back, he didn't really make the impact that we thought he would make. And even though they did make the game a little closer in the fourth quarter, they couldn't really put a lot of pressure and score consistently enough to really threaten the Clippers, and they never was able to get the lead. And they was able to keep them at bay for the most part. So the Clippers was able to pull away in the third quarter. Not having Cameron Payne to me was huge. That guy that can get his own shot. He can, make things happen and also, put pressure on the defense by attacking. And not having him was a big loss, but you thought that Chris Paul would be able to take over and step up, but he never really shot the ball any, that good anyway. You can give credit to the Clippers for forcing them to take a lot of long mid-range jumpers and a lot of tough threes. And, if you live by the jump shot, usually you die by it. And today, the Suns couldn't make enough perimeter shots to offset the Clippers, who was able to go on a run, and with the thanks and the help of another great fourth quarter from Reggie Jackson. The guy was finishing in the paint, the guy was finishing from the 3-point line, and just was a killer. He has been amazing for them this entire postseason run, and you just have to give credit to Reggie Jackson. This looks like the best Reggie Jackson we have ever seen. And if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that Reggie Jackson will be starting and will be a huge piece to the Clippers going to the Western Conference Finals, I wouldn't have thought you was completely crazy, but I would have never had seen it coming, especially with them having Beverly and trading for Rajon Rondo. Reggie Jackson has been their best guard outside of Paul George this postseason, and he was coming off injuries. He was coming off, a decent season last year with the Clippers, and decided to come back. And this is why they gave him the opportunity. They trusted him. They believed in his abilities, and they allowed him to play more minutes. They allowed him to have a bigger impact, and he has delivered so far for them. Zubac also looked better defensively, clogging up the paint, rotating, trying to finish possessions with rebounds, which he had 15, I believe, and he was able to block some shots. Also finished around the rim better, caught the ball, went up strong, drove to the rim and finished. Aiden was pretty good with 18, but you didn't see enough of him. They have really no answer for DeAndre Aiden, and they really went away from that in third quarter, but tried to go back to it in the fourth, and it ended up working. The only problem was it was a little too late because the Suns couldn't get enough stops to really, have a legitimate chance of winning this game. And Devin Booker, he struggled to put the ball in the basket again. This is two straight bad performances by Devin Booker, forcing the issue, being played real tight by Patrick Beverly, getting up in his airspace, being consistent with trying to poke the ball away from him, making him work for every shot that he takes, and basically forcing the Suns to switch Devin Booker to allow him to get Beverly off of him so he can get some type of offense going. And once they had Beverly off of him, you saw Devin Booker score a couple times. And once Beverly was on him, you didn't really see too much of Devin Booker putting the ball in the basket. And that is good that you can guard Devin Booker one-on-one. Defensively, you don't have to worry about double teaming or trapping because Patrick Beverly plays that good of a defense on him so far. Plus, Beverly hit a big three in the fourth quarter that got the fans going crazy because they knew that the W was there. They just had to wait till the shot clock run out, and it was good to see Beverly get a shot like that to go in because his defense was just that good, and it was good to see him have a big shot like that to show that I can make some shots too. I don't have to just play defense. I can do other things like putting the ball in the basket, and he was able to do it on that possession. Another thing, Paul George was able to have an all-around game, being a force in the inside, attacked the paint a lot. Also made some tough long mid-range twos, which you will live with, but it was falling tonight for him. Was also able to splash home a couple threes and put a lot of pressure on the Phoenix Suns defense with his ability to be in attack mode, always looking to get his shot off, always looking to find a way to force the defense to make a decision. And today his jump shot was falling more than it was in game one. And that was the result of him, making space on the jump shots and getting the space and actually just putting the ball in the basket. It's easier said than done, but he was able to get it done in this games. So I have to give him credit on that. Paul George had a great assist game too, finding the people cutting to the basket, finding shooters to get them some open opportunities, and they was able to knock them down for the most part. Also, when you look at this type of game, it had to be frustrating for the Suns, for them not to really play their best basketball, for them to be a little slower than what they should have been offensively. It just gives credit to the Clippers defense for rotating, for helping and staying up in these guys and forcing them to take tougher looks than what they actually want to take. I told you guys that the Clippers won't be going home in the sweep. I told you guys this series is going to be a long one, as both of these teams have similar play styles, have a bunch of wings that can cover a lot of space, be able to switch everything, have a center that can finish around the rim and rebound, and also hit some shots from time to time, but also shoot a lot of mid-range and a lot of threes. Both of these teams do that. Both of these teams excel at that, and the Clippers just did it significantly better tonight, and that's why I thought that this series wasn't going to be over. This series wasn't going to be a sweep. This series was going to be very, very competitive between both of these teams. And honestly, this is why I kind of figured that the Clippers will get at least a couple games. And it's because of what we just seen tonight. They're resilient, they don't quit, and they got a bunch of guys that isn't scared of the moment, isn't scared to take big shots, lives by that code. And they was able to show tonight that we can finish off the Suns. The Suns wanted to make a run. The Suns was relying on Chris Paul and Devin Booker and Aiden, but they got so far behind. The Clippers had a full self-esteem. They had full confidence, and they was rolling at that point, and they was basically able to put the Phoenix Suns away pretty convincingly in Game 3. And it's going to be interesting to see how Monty Williams tries to free up Chris Paul and Devin Booker to get easier opportunities, and if he uses Aiden offensively a little bit more, as he has been pretty good so far this series, probably the Suns' best player so far, and maybe getting him a little bit more touches, maybe using him a little bit more in a pick and roll to get easier opportunities will be the answer. Plus, setting multiple screens to get Devin Booker a head start on Beverly, or just trying to find a way to get enough separation so Devin Booker can get to his spots or get better looks. With Beverly hounding him and sticking to him really has frustrated and made it very, very difficult for him. And as a coach, you have to find a way to get your best players comfortable. You have to find a way to get your best players the best opportunity. And even if you don't, the role players have to be able to be in position to make plays or be in position to where they can have comfortable looks for themselves. So if Devin Booker can't score 25 to 30, somebody else is going to have to step up, or they're going to have to find a way to use him to make other guys better, or use him to make other guys get better shots. So that way, if he's not scoring, they're getting punished by other guys. And I feel like some of their others still did have good games, but they didn't have enough because their two best perimeter players were slowed down and couldn't really get it going consistently throughout the entire game. And that's a big reason why the Clippers was able to clip up the Suns and take home their first victory in the conference finals in franchise history. And they have a good game plan, and it actually was working for majority of the game, and then they was able to rely on their closers to get it done. Now it's just about the adjustments that the Phoenix Suns decide to make, and if Ty Lue gonna find another strategy and make adjustments during Game 4 as it continues to go, so that way they can have this series tied up 2-2 in LA, going back to Phoenix with a chance to take a 3-2 lead and come back from another 0-2 deficit. This team isn't going to give up. This team isn't going to quit. This team knows who they are. They know what they're about on both ends of the court. And I'm talking about the Clippers, and that's why they was able to get this W. Now the Suns have to get back to the drawing board and figure out what works and what doesn't work, and figure out how they can find a way to get back in control of this series and go up 3-1 and defeat the Clippers at home. Other than that, let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with. Is this series going to be tied up? Is the Suns going to come back and finish them off in game 4 and take a 3-1 lead so they can eliminate them in 5? Or do you see this series going 6? Do you see this series going 7? And who you think is going to win? Did the Clippers find something? Will it work? Will Ty Lue continue to use his coaching genius that he has been in this entire series and throughout the playoffs to continue to give his team advantages, even though they're a little short-handed? They have been able to compete and defeat anybody, and the Suns are the latest victim of that. So it's going to be fun to see what they do and fun to see what these teams are going to try to do to get their stars ready for a game 4. That's going to be huge for the series of whoever wins it. And other than that, I'll be coming with y'all with some more videos later. Friday, Quinn Wade, basketball analysis. I'm gone, and I'll see y'all later today.